I'm 25 years old, and my business partner is 70. When people find out, they always have the same reaction. Is he your grandfather? No. Then confusion, followed by polite skepticism, followed by the inevitable question, how does that even work? The truth is, for the first few weeks, it didn't. We were too different. Different generations, different speeds, different ways of seeing the world. I had the energy and the technology. He had the wisdom and the patience. Alone, we were both failing. Together, we built something neither of us could have created on our own. But more than that, Tand, this is the part that still gets me sometimes. We became the kind of friends neither of us knew we needed. This is the story of how a failed pitch at a networking event led to the most unlikely partnership of my life. And how a man who thought his useful years were over taught me everything about what actually matters. Before we dive in, have you ever had a friendship with someone from a completely different generation? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if you love stories about unlikely partnerships, intergenerational friendships, and discovering that our differences can be our greatest strengths, please subscribe so you don't miss our next one. Now let me tell you about Bernie and how he saved my business by teaching me how to be human. 6 months before I met Bernie, I was convinced I was going to be the next big thing in tech. I'd graduated from Georgia Tech with a computer science degree. Worked 2 years at a big tech company in Atlanta where I learned to code fast and ship faster. And then, like every ambitious 20-something who thinks they're smarter than they probably are, I quit to start my own company. The product was good. Really good. I'd built an app for small business management, scheduling, billing, customer relationship management, all in one place. Clean interface, intuitive design. Way better than the clunky systems most small businesses were using. I was sure it would take off. I had the technical skills. I had the product. I had the confidence that comes from being young, not yet having failed at anything that mattered. What I didn't have was customers. I'd spent 6 months building. Another 3 months trying to sell. I'd cold called hundreds of small businesses. I'd sent thousands of emails. I'd posted on every forum and social media platform I could find. I got a handful of interest, a few trial signups, but nobody was buying. Nobody was taking me seriously, and my savings were running out. By month 9, I was desperate. Desperate enough to go to a networking event I'd normally have avoided. One of those business mixer things where entrepreneurs and blazers drink wine and exchange business cards and talk about synergy. I didn't fit in. I knew I didn't fit in. But I went anyway because I had to do something. And sitting in my apartment, refreshing my sign-up page wasn't working. The event was at a hotel conference room in Buckhead. Maybe 60 people, average age somewhere around 50. I was easily the youngest person there by 20 years. I did the rounds. Forced small talk. Handed out cards that people took politely and would definitely throw away. And then, because the organizer had asked if anyone wanted to do a quick pitch, I volunteered. Big mistake. I got up in front of the room and launched into my prepared presentation. I talked about user experience and cloud infrastructure and scalability and all the technical features that made my product superior. I could see eyes glazing over within 30 seconds. People checking their phones. A few actually left to refill their drinks. I finished to polite, scattered applause. The kind of applause that means thank you for stopping. I felt my face burning as I sat back down. Another failure to add to the list. After the presentations ended, I was standing alone near the back, trying to decide if I should just leave. When someone approached me, he was older, 70. I'd learn later, though he looked younger. Silver hair, warm brown eyes, the kind of face that looked like it smiled a lot. He was wearing a cardigan and slacks, not the business casual everyone else had on. That was quite a pitch, he said. I braced myself for criticism. Yeah, I know. It didn't land. No, it didn't. But not because your product is bad. Your product is probably great. You just explained it like you were talking to a room full of engineers instead of business owners. I don't know any other way to explain it. I could tell. He extended his hand. Bernard Sullivan. Bernie. And you are. Miles Hartley. Miles, can I tell you something that might save you a lot of time and money? I was a little bit offended and defensive, but something about the way he said it, not condescending, just matter of fact, made me curious. Sure, you're trying to sell to people like the ones in this room, right? Small business owners, mostly older. Running companies they've built over decades, people who don't trust easily, and definitely don't trust kids. Who look like they're fresh out of college telling them how to run their businesses. That's exactly the problem. So stop trying to sell to them the way you'd sell to your friends. Stop using words like scalability and cloud infrastructure. They don't care. They care about whether your thing will make their lives easier, whether they can trust you to not screw up their business. And right now, you're giving them zero reason to trust you. How do I fix that? Bernie smiled. You let someone they do trust explain it to them. Someone who speaks their language. Someone who knows how to build relationships instead of just closing transactions. You mean you? I mean me. Or someone like me. Look, Miles, I spent 45 years in corporate sales. I know how to talk to people. How to read a room. How to build trust. You know how to build a great product. Separately, we're both kind of useless. Together, we might actually have something. Are you offering to help me? I'm offering to be your business partner. 50-50, you handle product and tech. I handle sales and customers. We split everything down the middle. Stared at him. You don't even know if my product actually works. Show me tomorrow. If it's as good as you think it is, we have a deal. If it's not, we shake hands and part ways. But Miles, you need help. And I need something to do before I die of boredom. So what do you say? It was so suspicious I almost said no. Why a 70-year-old man wanted to partner with a 25-year-old he'd just met. But I was desperate. And something about Bernie felt ... solid. Like he actually meant what he said. Okay, let's try it. The next day, I met Bernie at a coffee shop to show him the product. I walked him through every feature, explaining the architecture, the user interface design, the competitive advantages. Bernie watched patiently. Tried clicking through a few screens. Then he looked up at me. It's good. Really good. But Miles, it's too complicated. What? No, it's streamlined. I cut out everything unnecessary. For you, maybe. But for a 60-year-old guy who's been running his plumbing business with a paper calendar and a filing cabinet for 20 years, this is intimidating. Too many options, too many buttons, too much that could go wrong. It's intuitive for people who grew up with technology, not for people who still print out their emails. I felt defensive. So what am I supposed to do? Dumb it down? No. Simplify it. Show me the one thing it does that will make someone's life immediately better. Not 5 things. One thing. What's the biggest pain point for small business owners? Scheduling. Everyone hates managing appointments. Perfect. So lead with that. Show me how I book an appointment in 3 clicks or less. Make it so simple, I'd trust my grandmother to use it. Then, once they're hooked on that, you introduce the other features slowly. He was right. I hated that he was right, but he was right. Over the next week, I rebuilt the onboarding flow. Stripped it down to the essentials. Made it so the first thing users saw was the scheduling interface clean. Simple, impossible to mess up. Bernie tested it. Nodded approvingly. Now we can sell this. Our first month as partners was a disaster. Bernie wanted to do everything face-to-face. He'd schedule in-person meetings with potential clients, often driving an hour or more to sit down with someone for 30 minutes. This is inefficient, I told him. We could do 10 Zoom calls in the time it takes you to drive to one meeting. Zoom calls don't build trust, Bernie said. You can't read someone over video the way you can in person. And these folks? They need to see you're real. That you're not some fly-by-night operation that'll disappear in 6 months. It's a waste of time. It's an investment in relationships. Trust me, I didn't trust him. Not yet. But I let him do it his way. He also insisted on phone calls. Actual phone calls. Not texts, not emails, phone calls. Bernie, nobody under 50 answers phone calls anymore. Good thing our customers are over 50 then. and he was meticulous about follow-up. After every meeting, he'd send a handwritten thank you note. Handwritten, like it was 1985. Bernie, you know we have email, right? I know. But nobody sends handwritten notes anymore, which means when I do it, people remember me. Meanwhile, I was trying to move fast. I wanted to iterate quickly, push updates, add features, scale up. Bernie kept slowing me down. Why are we spending 3 weeks talking to 5 customers when we could be talking to 50? Because these 5 customers will tell us what actually matters. And when we fix those things, they'll tell their friends. That's how you build a real business, Miles. Not with flashy marketing. With people who trust you enough to recommend you. We fought a lot. About speed, about strategy, about whether we should prioritize new features or fix existing bugs, about whether to invest in ads or in relationships. About everything. 2 weeks in, I almost quit. Almost told Bernie this wasn't working, that we were too different, that we should just cut our losses. But then we closed our first real sale. Bernie had set up a meeting with a guy named Tom who owned a small HVAC company. 3 trucks, 6 employees. Been in business 20 years? He was exactly the kind of customer we were targeting. I went with Bernie to the meeting. We sat in Tom's cramped office that smelled like motor oil and coffee, and I started my pitch. So the app uses cloud-based architecture to centralize your scheduling, billing, and customer data, which means Tom's eyes glazed over immediately. Bernie put a hand on my arm. Let me try, Miles. He turned to Tom. Tom, how do you schedule appointments right now? Got a calendar on the wall. When someone calls, I write it down. Then I call whichever guy is free and tell him where to go. How often do you get double booked? Or forget to call the customer back? Or lose track of which jobs are paid and which aren't? Tom laughed. All the time. Drives me crazy. But what am I going to do? I'm not good with computers. You don't have to be. Miles, show Tom the scheduling screen. I pulled up the app. Bernie leaned forward. See this? Customer calls. You click on the day, pick the time, type in their address. Done. System sends them a text confirmation automatically. Then you click here. See which of your guys is free that day. Assign the job. It takes 30 seconds. No paper, no phone tag, no forgetting. Looked at the screen. That's it? That's it. And if you get confused, which you won't, but if you do, Miles answers texts within 10 minutes. Every time. Right, Miles. Every time I confirmed in the billing. Bernie walked him through it. Simple, straightforward, no jargon. Focused on solving Tom's actual problems, not on showing off features. 20 minutes later, Tom signed up. Annual subscription, paid in full, after we left. Sitting in Bernie's car in the parking lot, I said I never would have closed that. No, you wouldn't have, but that's okay. You built something he needed. I just helped him see it. How did you know what to say? Because I listened. You were trying to impress him with how smart your product is. I was trying to understand what he actually struggles with. Big difference. It was the first of many lessons Bernie would teach me. And the moment I started to understand that maybe this partnership could actually work, over the next 6 months, Bernie and I fell into a rhythm. He'd set up meetings, do the initial pitch, build rapport. I'd handle the demo, answer technical questions, provide support. He'd close the sale. I'd onboard the customer. He taught me how to listen. Really listen, not just wait for my turn to talk. How to ask questions that got to the heart of what someone actually needed instead of what I thought they should need. I taught him technology. Not how to code. He had zero interest in that, but enough to understand what the product could and couldn't do. How to talk about features without sounding like he was reading from a manual. We met every morning at the same coffee shop. Bernie would drink black coffee and ask about my weekend. I'd drink an iced latte and tell him about whatever I'd been working on. Sometimes we'd talk business. Sometimes we'd just talk. I learned about his life. He'd been married for 43 years to a woman named Patty who died 2 years ago. They'd had 3 kids, all grown, all living in different states. He'd retired at 65 from a corporate sales job, thinking he'd enjoy the freedom. Instead, he'd been miserable. I went from working 60-hour weeks to having nothing to do, he told me one morning. Played golf for a while. Watched a lot of TV, but Miles, I was dying inside. I felt useless. Like I'd been put out to pasture and everyone was just waiting for me to actually die so they could get on with their lives. Your kids didn't. My kids are busy. They've got careers, families. They call on Sundays, visit on holidays. But they don't need me anymore. Not really. And that's how it should be, they're adults. But it made me feel invisible. Like all the experience I'd built, all the things I knew how to do. None of it mattered anymore because the world had moved on. That's not true. Working with you, it reminded me I still have value. That 45 years of learning how to read people and build trust and close deals, that doesn't expire just because I'm old. It just needed the right context. I didn't know what to say to that. So I just nodded and changed the subject to our sales pipeline. But I thought about it a lot. About how Bernie had felt invisible. How he'd thought his useful years were over, because the truth was, without him, I'd have failed. Completely, the product was good, but I had no idea how to sell it. No idea how to talk to the people who actually needed it. No credibility with the market I was trying to reach. Bernie gave me all of that. But more than that, he gave me patience, perspective, the understanding that building something real takes time and relationships and trust, not just good code and aggressive marketing. 8 months into our partnership, we got a meeting with a potential investor. We didn't need investment. We were profitable. Growing steadily, but Bernie thought it would be smart to take the meeting anyway. Always good to have options, he said. The investor was exactly what I'd expected. Mid-40s, expensive suit. The kind of guy who used words like disruption and scalability and market penetration in every sentence. We met at his office in Midtown. All glass and steel and minimalist furniture. Bernie looked slightly out of place in his cardigan and khakis, but he didn't seem bothered. The pitch went well. I walked through the product, the traction, the growth metrics. The investor nodded, asked smart questions, seemed genuinely interested. Then he said, "This is impressive. Really impressive. I think we could do something here. Maybe $500,000 to start, scale up sales and marketing, expand the team. That's generous," Bernie said. "But I do have one concern." The investor looked at Bernie. "No offense, Mr. Sullivan, but this is a startup. Fast-paced, high-growth environment. I'm not sure someone in your demographic is the right fit for where this company needs to go." The room went cold. "My demographic," Bernie said evenly. "I just mean you're what, 70? Retirement age? And we'd need someone who can work the hours, has the energy for the grind. Maybe it makes sense to transition you out, bring in someone younger for the sales role. Someone who really understands startup culture." I felt my hands curl into fists under the table. But before I could say anything, Bernie smiled. "I appreciate the feedback. Miles, what do you think?" It wasn't really a question. It was a test, and I knew exactly what the right answer was. "I think you don't understand what you're looking at," I said to the investor. "Bernie isn't someone in sales. He's my partner. 50-50, we built this together. Every customer we have because Bernie knows how to build trust with people who wouldn't trust me in a million years. Every relationship that matters, Bernie built it. I'm good at product. Bernie's good at people. And you're asking me to give that up because you think he's too old? I'm just saying, no. Let me finish. Bernie closes sales I couldn't close. He has relationships that would take me 20 years to build. He's taught me more about running a business in 8 months than I learned in 4 years of college and 2 years at a tech company. And you want me to kick him out because he's 70? Miles, Bernie started. No, Bernie. He needs to hear this. I turned back to the investor. We're a package deal. If you can't see the value in that, then you don't understand what makes this company work. So thank you for the offer, but we're not interested. Does it up? Bernie followed. Miles, let's not be hasty, the investor said. We can work something out. We're good. Come on, Bernie. Let's go. We walked out. Took the elevator down in silence. Got to the parking garage before Bernie finally spoke. He just turned down $500,000, I know, because of me. Because of us. Because that guy doesn't get it. We're not a tech company that happens to have an older guy helping out. We're a partnership. And the day I forget that is the day we stop being what makes this work. Bernie's eyes were wet. He blinked hard, looked away. That might be the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me. It wasn't nice. It was business. We're better together than apart. That's just math. Still, thank you. We didn't talk much on the drive back. But something had shifted. We'd been partners before. Now we were something more. Something deeper. We were friends. 2 years after I met Bernie at that networking event, we'd grown the business to 50 steady customers. All small businesses, all loyal. We weren't huge. We weren't going to be the next unicorn startup. But we were profitable, sustainable, and built on relationships. I'd learned more from Bernie than I could quantify. How to slow down. How to listen. How to value relationships over transactions. How to build something that lasted instead of something that burned hot and died fast. But more than that, I'd learned what real partnership looked like. What it meant to have someone who complemented your weaknesses instead of competing with your strengths. Who challenged you, not because they wanted to win, but because they wanted you both to be better. Bernie had learned too. He'd learned that his experience wasn't obsolete, that technology wasn't the enemy, that he still had decades of value to offer if someone was willing to see it. One morning at our usual coffee shop, Bernie said something that stuck with me. "Miles, can I tell you something?" Always. When Patty died, I thought my life was over. Not in a dramatic way. Just I'd done the things I was supposed to do. Raised kids. Built a career. Saved for retirement. And then I retired and realized I had no idea what to do with myself. I felt like I was just waiting to die. "Bernie, let me finish. I don't need the money, but you gave me purpose again. You made me feel like I still mattered. Like all those years of experience meant something. And more than that, you became one of my closest friends. Which is strange, because you're young enough to be my grandson, and we have almost nothing in common. But it's true. You're one of my closest friends too," I said. "And Bernie, you did the same for me." I was about to fail completely. "You didn't just save my business. You taught me how to be human, how to connect with people, how to build something real instead of just chasing some fantasy of success. We make a good team, the best." Bernie smiled. "So what's next? Now that we've built something sustainable, what do we do with it?" "Keep building. Keep growing. Keep doing it together. Because honestly, Bernie, I don't want to do this without you. Not because I need you, though I do, but because this is more fun with you here. Every morning I look forward to coffee and talking about whatever. You're not just my business partner. You're my friend." Then we keep going. "For as long as we both want to." Deal. I'm 27 now. Bernie is 72. We're still partners. Still friends. Still meeting every morning at the same coffee shop to drink coffee and plan the day and talk. About life, people still don't understand how it works. How someone my age partners with someone his age. How we don't drive each other crazy with our differences. But the truth is, the differences are what make it work. I have energy and technical skills and a willingness to move fast. Bernie has patience and experience and the wisdom that comes from decades of actually living. Alone, we're both incomplete. Together, we're whole. Bernie taught me that success isn't about moving fast or being the smartest person in the room. It's about building something that matters with people who matter. It's about patience and relationships and trust. And I taught Bernie, or maybe just reminded him, that value doesn't expire with age. That experience is an asset, not a liability. That he still has so much to offer. We're not trying to be the next billion-dollar company. We're just trying to build something good. Something sustainable. Something that helps people and treats them with respect and makes us both. Want to wake up in the morning and we're doing it together? Which is the only way either of us would want to do it. Because sometimes the best partnerships are the ones nobody expects. The ones that don't make sense on paper but make perfect sense in practice. Sometimes, the person you need most is the one least like you. The one who sees what you can't see. who fills in the gaps you didn't know you had. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, that person becomes more than a partner. They become family. Bernie's not just my business partner. He's the grandfather I never had. The mentor I didn't know I needed. The friend who showed me that wisdom and experience and patience aren't things to rush past on the way to success there. The foundation success is built on, and I really hope that I've given him something. 2. Purpose, value, the knowledge that his best years aren't behind him, that he still matters, that someone needs him, because I do. More than he probably knows. We're building this thing together, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Have you ever had a friendship with someone from a completely different generation? Share your story in the comments below. If this story about unlikely partnerships, intergenerational friendship, and discovering that our differences make us stronger touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe for more meaningful stories every day. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you never miss our next inspiring tale. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.